talk about this for a little bit before we get into playing some Dark Souls. I've been meaning to talk about this for a bit because this came out, I think, now about like a little over a week ago. But they did the announcement trailer for Season of Blood. This is Season 2 to Diablo 4. And with that is going to be a lot of changes. A lot of really good changes that have been needing to come for quite some time. So I think there's a trailer here. Let's watch the trailer and then we'll discuss here in a second, okay? Then we'll talk about it, okay? So let's go ahead and watch the brief little trailer here. I think it's pretty short. So there was a few things said in that I think are important, and I think it's mainly with the portion like right around here. Like right when they do like the dungeon playthrough. I think we're gonna get a few new, like by the looks of it, it looks like we're getting something similar to the Malignant Hearts in some way, where it's gonna add a little to our abilities, but I can't tell a whole bunch. It looked like they may be just tinkering with some of the classes, but I can see this being a big effect on things like warlocks, especially with their blood builds, and that being a big thing. Let me move this down a bit, real quick. Hold on a second. Move that down. There we go. So, personally, I like the trailer. I think I've seen this dungeon before, so I don't see them doing this. This looks like just out in the open area, but I'm glad they showed gameplay in this trailer. I think initially when we saw season 1, I think it was all just like a video, like it was the trailer, but I don't think we saw like a bunch of in-game play content. So I'm glad that they put some in there. I wish they would show a little bit more about what some of these abilities are, or if anything, or what we're getting. But they did talk about a few things at the very end, right here. Let's see. So new quest line, which if it's anything like season 1's quest line, that could be probably concerning, but we'll talk about that in a second. New vampiric powers, which I assume are going to work kind of like the Malignant Hearts, and then new endgame bosses, which I think is much better. 5 new in-game bosses, which is, I mean, much better in the sense that we only got from season 1, all we got was just the, I want to say Elias, but I can't remember his name right now. That's how lack of memorable that they are. They're just basically they're exactly like Elias in that they were good gone bad, and then it was over. Now, of course, getting like the Uber bosses and getting like the high difficulty boss is something, but I don't necessarily like that personally, because I think that there's so many bosses at end of dungeons that could get like a nice highlighting, or like to be a lot more important than they are. So I really like how this is adding more endgame bosses and more variety in that sense. What do I feel like is going to happen? I feel like we're going to get something like a vampire council of some sort. We're going to get like a kind of a group of enemies here that round table, we're going to defeat them. But I like that. I like that. I like the theme. I think the theme will be really strong. So let's look at this a little bit further. So to start, it says the Season of Blood will introduce a new quest line for you to uncover vampiric powers to wield against other originators. Against the originators, 5 additional endgame bosses with the ability to target specific unique and uber unique items as a drop. This is huge for the season. To put this into perspective, for people who don't know, a lot of the drops cannot be influenced by any sort of means to make it to where you get your specific drop. Sometimes you can get lucky in that certain types of drops are more likely to drop in certain areas, but it's very minimal and it's not something that you can largely influence. By this saying this, you're basically able to farm out certain items, kind of like how you farm out, say, a side dungeon for a certain aspect to get the items that they are designated to drop. Is this a loot table? Maybe not. But is it leading towards a loot table? Yes. And that is why I'm excited about this feature. And that's why I think this feature is huge. It's going to be just like it could lead to something just like WoW, in that, you know, if I go to this place, I kill this boss, I am going to get this possible set of items. It may be a low % chance that you get the item that you're looking for, but you can at least farm it and get it, and you can at least try. And I really hope that they take this and they move this into world bosses. It would be fantastic if they did, because world bosses right now are just loot pinatas, plainly. But certain world bosses, if you're waiting like what, 6 hours or hours for a world boss to drop, a certain world boss should drop certain types of gear or certain levels of gear. So I hope they extended this further into loot tables, or two, they extend it further into basically this is guaranteed to give you these stat sets, these aspects. Like, if you can even just do those small things within certain loot tables, within certain dungeons, I think that would be amazing. Additionally, so we get the 5 new endgame bosses, new returning foes for additional endgame challenges. I think that's just going to be basically what we've seen before. I don't think that says much personally. It says better target farming of uniques and urban uniques. We just talked about that. Renown rewards. This is another amazing feature that's going to come from season 2, which I am so excited for. I have done the renown grind 3-4 times now, and I am done with it. What this means is that we're no longer going to have to farm not just Altars of Lilith and map discovery, but hopefully this means also we don't have to farm side dungeons again. We don't have to farm maybe side quests again, or strongholds again. If it's side dungeons again, I would understand, because you're gonna do dungeons no matter what, like whenever you get end game, so you probably would be fine. But some of the things they're talking about in the next part right here is includes potion charges, skill points, Opal cap upgrades, and Paragon points. Something that I realized after I did the renown grind like 3 times and I finished it out, I realized that the bonus XP that you get from each rank of the renown grind that you get is not bonus XP that you get for every mob. Like, it's not like you previously got 300 XP per mob and now you're getting 400 XP. It's flat out just a flat amount of XP, and that's it. And it was such a bummer when I found that out. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, why did I even try to get this? Because there was no purpose to it, because all of the stats you get for like Paragon points, skill trees, you get those across account wide. The only thing you don't get is the bonus XP. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. You do the renown grind, that way you can get the bonus. That way you're putting in effort per every single class. I hated it, but at least it made sense, in a sense that they're trying to make you have to earn your way each alt that you're doing. So miserable, but at least I understood what they were trying to achieve. Some of the additional things that they're talking about is more efficient inventory for gems. So we're getting gem tab season 2. A lot of people have been talking about this before. I honestly, my biggest grief is not gem tabs right now. My biggest grief is going to be if this is going to be vampire powers that we attach to our necklace and our 2 rings. Am I going to have to collect the trillion of these and then hold on to a bunch of them and then salvage them and then store them? Will I have to do all of these steps in order to do the thing that I want? If that's the case, then I don't want that. Give me a section where I can see these things and put it in a codex. Put it in a codex and I can reapply it as I choose. I don't want to farm out gear and farm out the best hearts and farm out the best aspects and the best roles. It's just misery inducing. Let me unlock it in a codex. Let me earn upgrades through the codex or through dungeons or through grind. You know, combine efforts, combine like side dungeons and grind with this, but don't make me add more to my inventory besides gear. My inventory should purely be for gear. And I want to be able to search my inventories as well. I want to be able to filter things out so I can find exactly what I need. So many times I've gotten legendary gear that maybe I can't equip now or I don't want to use right now. And then I get to the piece of gear and I don't see it, or I lose it, or I accidentally salvage it or sell it because I forget what it's for, because I get like tons of pieces of gear and I don't remember why I got that one piece of gear. So please filter, you know, that's the most important thing for me. And then change it to the functionality of status effects such as vulnerable, overpower, critical strike damage, and elemental resistances. The biggest part of this being elemental resistances. Right now, elemental resistances don't work. If you've been focusing on elemental resistances, I'm sorry to tell you, they're not working like they should be. Additionally, I'm glad that they're reworking vulnerable. I think that vulnerable was too strong. I wasn't seeing anything, barely anything for overpower. Overpower builds were just not working out for me end game. And critical strike damage, I less understand, but I understand maybe putting more variety in there, because crit chance is one thing and then crit damage is another thing. But it was becoming so much so that by the time I'm like getting crit chance and crit damage where I want it to be, I have no more room to invest my stats anywhere else. So more variety into these stats I think is going to be really important. I hope they rework it in that sense. Additionally, some updates coming to Season of Blood. You have status effects. So the elemental resistances, and then gem stash. So gems are no longer taking up inventory space, and then the stash can be searched and filtered. How that's going to work or how well they're going to make it to where that's search and filtered, I don't know, but I hope that they make it to where it's very workable, very reasonable for us to search through our inventory. And really just to wrap it up, like I kind of want to open an item here. I'm going to open my handy dandy paint here. All right, so first thing that I want from Season 2 that's not on this list. I want it to where aspects earned can be upgraded. If I get an aspect and I've earned this aspect, I've done the side dungeon for it, I am tired of having to re-roll it, re-imprint it, and get a better one. Let me do something so I can upgrade my aspects and I can just build on it. I'm already having to re-imprint it on a piece of gear, or I hesitate for so long to apply it to a new piece of gear because I don't want to waste it. So allow me to upgrade it within my codex so it's more useful. Also, on that same exact note, filter by class should be standard. Why am I looking at all these other classes for my aspects? It doesn't make any sense to make me do that, and I think it should be standard that should be applied. Additionally, whenever I'm looking at my gear, I should be able to see on the aspects that I've applied where these can be optimally placed as a standard. Like I know it shows like the filter whenever you apply it, but I shouldn't have to like put it into something to see where it's going and all that kind of stuff. I should be able to see out the gate for my inventory that aspects, this is what I'm talking about, aspects should be noticeable, if that makes sense. I'll see like they're all like, some of them are axes, some of them have images of like a bear trap. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like make them more readable. I should be able to look at the image and see exactly which one it is. Like it just like showing an axe there gives me nothing. Like I should be able to see what it is. I don't know the names of all the aspects. Sorry, I just don't. I know Edge Masters. All right. So that's enough about aspects. Some of the additional things that I want to see in a filter, I should be able to type in vuln and equals like all things vulnerable. I don't want it to be primary stats. I want to be able to type in exactly like what I'm looking for and get it. I don't want it to be categories. I want it to get the exact thing that I'm typing in there, and I want to be able to put that in. Also, if things like items near breakpoint, if this is just my personal opinion on this one. I understand sometimes it happens. I'll get it, and it's like a 698, and I can't upgrade that to 725 to reach that final breakpoint. And it's like, oh well, I guess I don't get the final breakpoint. It's just like, look, whatever. Like, I guess it's just the case. So whatever it is, I can't hit that breakpoint. And it's so stupid to have it that way. Is there, like, give me something, either make it to where items can reach that breakpoint or max out that breakpoint, or don't put them that close to the breakpoint, or give me something that I can do to make it upgrade besides just upgrading it at the blacksmith. Whether it is maybe something within the blacksmith that allows me to up the stats. And then speaking of which, Enchanter should let me do 2 stats. Right now you can only do 1, and it's semi understandable, but it doesn't, like, I need it to kind of semi translate, and I need it to be more than 1 stat most of the time, because most gear I'm just selling because the moment I see damage to close, damage to distant, I'm like, I don't want it. It just, there's too many conditionals, and that kind of goes on to my next point. There's too many conditionals. I think season 1, the issue with season 1, like my main personal issue with season 1, is there was too many items that had a conditional stat on top of a conditional stat. I would go into, it would be like damage to a distant enemy on a Tuesday whenever the moon is a crescent and Mercury is in retrograde. It doesn't make any, like, I look at it, and immediately, even if it's the best stats besides that, I go, no. There's too many conditionals. Give me 1 conditional, maybe 2 max. I can understand a enemy is dazed. If they're already dazed, they get stunned. That makes sense. Deal damage or reduce damage from enemies while in this form. But if you go deal less damage from the enemies in this form while they're vulnerable and dazed, it's too many conditionals, and it becomes useless. Immediately, no one's going to use that stat in a tree. No one's going to use that stat on their gear. It's ridiculous. So gear aspects, so we've talked most of those things. Opals. Okay. I want to talk opals. Opals right now, the reason why you gather and use opals is because you farm those out and you spam items so you can farm legendary aspects. Sometimes you can get okay gear and it's like decent, but for the most part, you're just farming out aspects for rolls. So since that's the case, and people are just using those for the rolls, they're not using those for the gear, allow me a aspect gamba. Give me, like, it throws up like 3 aspects or something like that. You can make it 100 opals, I don't care, and I can pick which one or something. Give me an aspect gamba. I just want to I'm spending my points on this. Stop making to where I get a rare and then I get a blue, and then I have to, like, wait 4 or 5 times before I get a legendary to possibly get an aspect, to possibly get the aspect that I want, to possibly get the roll that I want. It's too many layers. I don't like it. Remove the layers, please. We're not ogres. We don't like layers. All right. And then I'm gonna try to wrap this up. So for me personally, I am okay with Hell Tides in the sense that it's much easier to get the shards, and they're actually the XP you get's not bad, and if you're doing it in a group, it's not too bad, and the gear you get from it is not too bad if you get the right chests, etc. But, and this is gonna sound ultra casual, and I understand. I hate to say it, but like, I shouldn't lose, like shouldn't lose, what are they called, cinders or whatever they're called, the currency on death. Sometimes things happen. I shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be doing it health tides. I've had where like I'll get spammed and I'll lose like half of them. It's too much, and you can call it casual and whatnot, but like stuff happens and you can pull massive groups. I've done it to where I've pulled whole entire bosses, and I'm sitting there like trying to find a way out because I can't find anything, and I don't like really potions don't really spawn super well in those areas. And I think the only other one that I know probably won't happen, but I really want, is incentivize group content. I think what happened with season 1 is where they made it to where you basically you get less XP from boosting, because what ends up happening is you have to seek out a much higher level in order to get the benefits from it, and it's even less than what it was previously. Like, it used to be like anything 3 levels and above, I think you get bonus XP, and I think now it's like maybe 5. I think group content should be incentivized. I think that it should be to where if you're in a group with people, who cares if you're boosting? 1, and 2, I think that there should be much more synergy with dungeons. If you have a member in your group who's a barbarian, and you face a boss, I think that there should be a layer of complexity added to bosses. In that either it's a layer of difficulty, or it's an increased level of gears or loot that drops, but something should increase, something should be incentivized besides just maybe XP. XP is great and all, but I think there should be something that makes it to where you want to be in a group, because the social aspect in Diablo 4 is non-existent. I have to stream this game just to find people to do stuff, and there's almost zero social aspect, because the social, like the chatting disappears, and nobody looks at all the different chats, the party chats. It's just not ingrained into things like they think it is. There needs to be better social aspects and better group content, more than just me standing at the front of a dungeon and doing nothing. It has to be incentivized in some sort of way. And I don't want to make this too long or anything like that. I think a lot of the changes that they have made are fantastic. So I'm not going to gripe too much about it. These are all good changes that are going to come to season 2. I think it's going to be a good idea to play during this season. However, I think my main issue personally is that a lot of these are making up for things that maybe needed just updates for a very long time. So I'm hoping to see more upgrades like this, more changes like this. I want this game by end of season 2 to be playable, enjoyable, and then by season 3, the pure focus should be, how do we make 50 to 100 enjoyable for a casual player so they want to play past level 50? That should be their entire focus for season 3, because the initial like 50 levels are almost never bad. It's just that after level 50, level 70, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore. And so I need that for that to be the case for season 3. And season 2 is looking good. I like the theme. I like the vampire theme. They're a cool mob. Some of the best strongholds that I've done in the game are vampire based. So I think they're a very cool mob. I think the mobs look good. And I'm excited to see the bosses. It looks like, I think we got pictures of 2, the one with the crown, like I think there's the one with the horns and whatnot. So like we have a few that we've already seen. Super excited to see how it turns out. I think this is coming October 17th. October 17th is when this is coming out. and I think it's gonna be a much better season than season 1. But the only thing is, I don't want it to be a season that is limiting people. If anything, make people overpowered and ridiculous. Make it to where people are doing insane stuff. Get people invested in this game again. And by the way, if you haven't seen it already, I think this weekend they're doing an XP gold bonus weekend. So if you haven't seen it, they're doing that. And I think they're doing like a discounted price for those of you who haven't played it already. So Diablo will be cheaper, and Diablo will actually have, I guess, incentives for you to play again. So this is definitely a good time to join. You got basically 2 months to kind of, actually maybe month and a half ish. I'm gonna say 2 months to do this. So I think it's definitely a good time to join. Maybe start out the campaign, that way you're ready, and get an idea of what you enjoy about the game, what class you want to play. But definitely all good things from this, and I'm excited to see a lot more content from Diablo. So that's all I got, guys. If you like the stream, or if you like the video, give the video a like, comment in the page with stuff that you hope to see in future seasons, and don't forget to give the page a subscribe as well. Also, if you want to catch some of these videos live, I recorded this on my live stream, and then please follow the stream as well. I am at Chill with Sad Dad. We stream at kind of random times right now, but I'm between playing Diablo right now and Dark Souls, which is my first time playing Dark Souls. So we're gonna play Dark Souls actually right now. So super excited to play season 2, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, and take care of yourself. That's all I got.